Hello and welcome to Pens, Paint and Whiskers. It is part two, and in part two, we're going to be finally using my breakfast to make a fantasy map. If you were following along in part two, I prepared this sheet of paper. It's 300 GSM Zealer watercolour paper. I used this little bottle of Winsor & Newton calligraphy ink. I know it says calligraphy ink, but I used it because I like the shade of it. You can probably see the tone there. And I used it on this map, this paper. So treating the paper first to create this lovely kind of old bronze look. And the good news is I left it in a sunny window and it crinkled, so it actually does look pretty aged anyway. So now comes the exciting part. This is the breakfast part of things. This is what I eat for breakfast. This is granola. A little bit of a backstory. I spotted this project. People were doing little kind of fun shorts of creating fantasy maps with rice. So they were dropping rice on the paper and drawing around it. And I thought, I like that idea, but I don't really have rice, or it's not really a thing I use very much. But I do have granola and I'm going to use it. So when I finished with this, hopefully if it doesn't get too stained, I can put this to other use as well. I don't know if this is toxic, but maybe like a bird feed kind of little item or something. I'll see what I do with it. I don't want to not use it. I'm all about using everything you have and reusing and repurposing everything. So what I'm going to do now, you can't see my eyes. You're not going to see them. But I'm going to close my eyes and just select a little handful of granola, and trying to avoid making much of a mess, I should put it on this piece of paper. And I'm going to draw around it. That's why I have a Crayola, sort of a violet pencil first. And then I'm going to hopefully ink it in. Not necessarily in this video, but I'm just going to kind of get the basic landmass first. So some people really fling it, but I don't want it to bounce and go everywhere but the map. So I'm just going to drop it down and kind of maybe... Okay, so that's the main landmass. Now this little area up here, so I'm going to maybe try and get in another kind of landmass. Now because of the crinkles, it's kind of gathering, I know. But okay, so we have our landmass, and trying not to move this, I'm just going to ink, well, I'm not going to ink it in yet. But what I have seen people doing now, I'm realizing rice is probably better for this. But drawing an outline in, and ooh, I like the idea that these are little islands. Ooh, okay, so this might be quite hard to see. Tell you what, I'm going to actually be bold, because it's all about taking risks, and I'm going to use a ballpoint pen. I never really do that in art, only kind of when I'm sketching out a character. It will be easier to see actually, so, and it might give it quite a inky kind of look underneath. So with a fantasy world, if you're a past viewer of my channel, you'll know I have quite the fantasy liking and creatures in my drawings and my artwork. And I decided, just seeing that little fun kind of thing on Pinterest, well, I decided to copy it. And I decided to make a little fantasy landscape for them. Now you can do this with, you can do it for a world, you can do it for a country, you can do one per each. I'm just kind of doing it for the purpose of just showing how it can be done on paper with rice or with granola. I don't know if I'd recommend granola anymore because, yeah, the rice is easier to get around, certainly. So that's going to be a little island, and that's going to be another little island, and that's going to be yet another island. So, but yeah, I like this project, and you can do it yourself now if you want to keep it realistic. You can stick to like a temperate region because, there's not very many very cool mountain regions and tundras beside deserts. Now, maybe somebody will correct me, but I don't think there is. So, you can create like what I would do now is I would create like this would be temperate to cool. So, there would be a mountain region and pines maybe, and then it would be, temperate forests and there's little cities and towns and things. I wouldn't put in deserts or anything. I'm not really all that fond of kind of adding them in. I want to keep things as kind of realistic as the idea of a fantasy world would allow. I know, but you can go all out with this. For the purpose of this video, I'm not. But yeah, you totally can, and you can kind of, it really helps to look up real maps and see what features they put on real maps. Like there's trees and forests and waterways and rivers and swamps. So that's quite fun, and it adds a kind of nice little sort of world building, and it can be hard to make maps that look sort of authentic. So I'm gonna put these back in the bag hopefully without spilling any. Actually, I might scoop them, wipe them up into a corner so they can neatly fall back in the bag. And then when I've brushed them away, you can see the outline I have created. Or somewhat see the outline, yeah. So I'm going to go over it again and decide, and we're going to make more outlines for things like sort of rivers and waterways and well, not swamps, but maybe like fens and kind of islets and things like that. So this is the fantasy land, and I might put it in now. So I'll just cut myself off, but this is a river bed. So that just naturally with my pen I've decided that's a river bed, and there's a little island here. So I have just decided that looking at the map, and this is the furthest most island. I wonder, can I bring you guys down? I might bring you, yeah, that's better. And so, where was I? Yeah, so it went up along here. And I'm going to decide, just because the pen has stopped there, there's another little river. So we'll use grains of granola again for the rivers. And I'm going to use them for the forests and the mountains too. So it doesn't always just have to be the shape of the landmass and the countries. Is that a little, it's hard to see with the pen. But there's a little island here, and there is another one here. Yeah, so kind of sort of round, and it's got a bit up here. And as I go on, I found some websites. If you're thinking of names, there is one in particular I'm thinking of. I'll probably put it down in the description. Oh yeah, there was more island kind of something. There's a shiny sea, and it's a little bit hard to get in. So they have a big northern island off their shoreline. And I won't say it's an archipelago, but yeah, sort of roughly done in anyway. And they've a lot of islands, this country or landmass. There's another one. And I think I had another one there. Yeah, they have a lot of islands. And they've got a little sort of panhandle coming out. Yeah, so that's mainly the shape of them. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to actually think about maybe I said about forests and mountains. So I'm going to get a tiny little bit of granola. And again, I'm looking up at the ceiling, eyes closed. I'm just going to dot it on. And wherever it falls, providing now it's not in the sea of the island, that's going to be my mountains. And I'm going to do one for maybe forests and maybe some bogland too. And then some for cities. But you can also do it for rivers. Now that's interesting the way that has all fallen. So now, so mountain ranges. How am I going to? Okay, so we'll pop in a little mountain there. So just little small kind of points and peaks. And as I'm doing it, I'm clearing away my breakfast. So there's a big mountain range sort of going up, kind of cutting up the landscape. Yeah, so going to just sort of dot it in. So you can see already that you can, once I put that name generator into the description, once I find it again, it's not only for people naming babies, it also caters for people with, I suppose, fantasy, kind of D&D role-playing sort of games. It doubles as one of those kind of websites, and if you press fantasy like lands or country names, it will give you a few, and you can use them now. Yeah, so I'll pop it in the description, and you guys can hopefully see it and use it. That's how I managed to do it. I presume it works from a database. I'm not sure how it works. Maybe, yeah, hopefully it's not too much reliant on the certain programs that I don't want to name on my channel. Begin with an A and end with an I. But anyway, so we've got our little mountain ranges now. So they do, funnily enough, they did fall, kind of come up. They fell sort of right, so they feel right. So it goes up kind of and crossways. So now what I'm going to do is, this will look a lot better when I get proper ink onto it in the third video. So I'm thinking maybe forest now. So we'll do another little kind of let a few grains fall. So I can see when people do it with the rice that it would be easier to do with rice, because of course rice being kind of smaller and more even, I can see why people do that. Yeah, I am having a little bit of trouble with the granola, and some ended up in the sea. Yeah, quite a lot in okay, quite a lot ended up in the sea. Well, I'm just going to put them here. So, right, so forests. So how would a forest be? Okay, so here's one here. I'll just nudge in trees just so I can remember where I put them. And here is another kind of forest. I try to be as realistic as possible. So the only thing I've decided is going to be on this map is kind of forests. So forests and maybe kind of waterways. And yeah, forests, waterways, and maybe some marsh or bogland. And that will be it. So I have to do rivers and then maybe some cities too. Yeah, so, and yeah, oh dear, maybe lakes. Well, waterways, they can pass, they can go as lakes too. Not a lot of forests actually. There's another one up here. Yeah, so it seems to be very tundra region. Maybe it's one particular section of a much bigger world. I don't know. But you can certainly make one. It would be quite interesting to make an entire world. And I know with the ballpoint pen, you guys can't see a whole lot, but I've decided now up here, there's a good bit of forests up here. So this is the forest region. And hopefully in the next video I'll get some my generated names so of the website. I think it's baby name generator or fantasy name something like that. And it does generate country names too. And this big kind of island up here, they have forests. So I'm imagining maybe pine, sort of those piney kind of forests. Yeah, so up along, I'll just hint them in here. So there we go. So that's forests and mountains. Now, rivers. So there is, I did say there was going to be, there's rivers along here. So with the break of my ballpoint pen, oh, that's not, okay, rice is much better for doing that. Yeah, I'll do that. Actually, I'm going to close my eyes and I'm going to draw with a ballpoint pen. But I'm going to put some lakes in on it with this granola here. So, and maybe little kind of bays and things, lagoons maybe. But, so, now that's a river. That is another river. Here is a third river. There is another. And yeah, so if you can follow, like if you do make little marks like I have done in this map, and bearing in mind realistically they all will rise sort of at higher ground, so near the mountains, and they'll empty out into seas or lakes. So yeah, so if you, now that being said, I'm breaking my own rule a little bit, but trying to make the river, try and go from sort of the edge of the map, so the borders. So this is obviously the sea, so go from the borders inlands. Now, have you guys got a river? Yeah, seem to have anyway. That's kind of hard to see, obviously because of the dark ink. So you can kind of see, there looks like a kind of a big long bay there. And then realistically, so the rivers are done. Now I'm going to do a few little lakes. So just to make it even more realistic. So here's a, and then the last thing, maybe cities and towns. Now realistically, of course, you don't have to follow the rules of our world, so to speak. But it is good too, because realistically towns certainly they sprung up along waterways, because water being needed for life, so they sprung up and needed for transport too. So obviously trade and transport, a town would start near a spring or near a waterway or near the coast, and you would have a port. So that is, in our world anyway, that applies. So I think it should apply the same in fantasy lands. And I'll see what else I can squeeze in on this map. I might go with, after this, I might go with maybe towns and cities and things and ports next. There's a lake up here now. I think that's just up at the border. So I'll just shove it in, and you guys, you're going to have a lake up here. And obviously some ended up in the sea, so that doesn't count. Now, so we've got lakes and trees and rivers and mountains. So now we're going to put in some cities, and hopefully if they don't land, if they land somewhere near the edges of the border of the country or the shoreline, I'm going to just place them there. Here we go. Okay, that was something large, I think, one of the nuts or the seeds. Yeah, so that's probably enough. Okay, right. So here's a town anyway. That was a sunflower seed. So we can say that this was a little town. So the X marks the spot. And it looks like another town or a village even here. Now, this being near the coast, I imagine this is quite a substantial city. And yeah, so, and of course I have to think about rivers and fresh drinking water and things like that. I'm no geographer, but looking at old maps and looking at countries, this seems to be quite an occupied little corner here. And something there in between two lakes. Now you can build up a story about that. Maybe the two lakes, one place wants to occupy or use one lake and the other uses the other, and there's quite a fight over it. So you can use that actually as inspiration. Now this is a little mountain village. So they're probably in a mountain pass on the way to this little city here at the port. And here's another village on the foot of the mountains. And there's yet another city up here and another city here. So very occupied. There's a lot of people living here. And there might be one up here in the mountains too. So I'd imagine maybe they're following the path of a river all the way down to the port. They're useful for travelers. Here is another port city. They're very well connected, these guys, whoever they are. So moving up, here's another establishment. A big city here. So there we go. And realistically, I don't know, I'm not going to question populations or anything, or population numbers. But there's actually another city there. And we put another port there. You can use all of this as inspiration. For storylines too, actually. I think there was something there too. So little sort of town and city. So this is the rough kind of, I know it's rough. I say it's rough in a ballpoint pen. When I come back, so in part 3, you'll probably see me inking all of this in properly. And yeah, so this will all be made nice, made to look even more authentic. And I might actually stick a little legend up here and call it something. So yeah, do it really nice. And I think we said there was something here and there's something up there. So it is a little bit hard to see with the dark ink, but however. So we're shaping up. So we've got towns and forests, mountains, rivers, lakes. And I might just do one more. I might just do some kind of maybe, I don't know, bogland maybe. I should. So not many now. Not many, because it would be a little bit strange. And thinking about where marsh areas are, that's a good area for a marsh, but I don't know if a town is going to be realistically in a marsh. I don't think that's a good area for a town to be built. But these could indeed, this area here could be marshy. So yeah, and I'm going to stick in little sort of symbols. I'll just scribble them in on the back after this video. There's another kind of fen area, so that makes sense at near this river. And here is yet another. So we've got a little bit of a hill, but we've got also some kind of bogland. Yeah, and kind of waterways. And it can be lagoons as well. So, and another one sort of up in the far reaches here. So that was all I wanted to put on the map. I'm not going to use that. Yeah, that was all I wanted to put on it. I don't think I'll use any more. So in part 3, so that's part 2 done. And I'll just take you up. So that's part 2 done. And in part 3, when you come back, you'll see me inking. So I'm going to get a calligraphy dip pen and I'm going to ink all of this in properly. Maybe in black or maybe color coded. And I'll ink it in properly, and I'll probably have a little legender up in the top corner of what is what. And I might get some names and name parts of this little fantasy world. But that's part 2 over with. And this is shaping up. If you've been with me from the very, very start and you're still with me now, thank you very much. I deeply appreciate it. If you've just stumbled upon my video and you like what you see, why not like and subscribe? I upload a new video out every week, and I do shorts and live streams, and I do this sort of art and handcrafts. So why not like and subscribe? And if you do, thank you very much. But I'm going to leave you guys, and when you come back for part 3, I will have this hopefully ready to go in terms of calligraphy, and it's going to look like a real map. However, bye bye.